All right. Good day and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Live the Fuel show. So, on this fine Monday evening, the sun is setting here on the East Coast, and we'll confirm in a second what time zone it is because it's been so long since I've been where this gentleman is tonight that we're streaming live here. I don't know I'm guessing it's East Coast time. I have no idea. He'll clarify for that in a second because we're talking to Mexico. That's right. Our guest co-host is down getting some sun, probably some beaches, and probably some amazing fresh ocean air coming in. So this gentleman got connected with me thanks to shout out to Courtney of Zippy Content. She's one of my first ever people who started reaching out to me about podcast guests. I'm like, sure, I have a whole team that does that. But if you want to send me great people, that's awesome too. So this gentleman, ladies and gentlemen, here he is, mentor, speaker. He's very passionate about helping entrepreneurs. And that's big nowadays because a lot of people just throw around that entrepreneurial word and they don't really realize what it takes to actually own that. And he definitely loves to connect with thought leaders, gain clarity on zones of genius. And actually, we were just chatting before we hit record tonight, and this new concept he's building around a Symposium Mastermind as well. And one thing I really decided to accept him to come in for is because I love geeking out about NLP, and he's a Master NLP Practitioner. A lot of people don't understand that yet either. So, without further ado, let's bring him on. He's airing from Cancun, Mexico. Mike Zeller, sir, welcome to the show.
Si, senor. Excited to be here, and it's beautiful down here in Cancun, and it's pretty much reasonably open. No mask once you're in the hotel, and it feels amazing to be down here and amazing to connect with another uber talented entrepreneur. So glad to connect and so glad to be on your show, brother.
I'll tip you later. So listen, let's just dive right in here, man. How long have you been in Mexico right now, by the way, as we're recording?
About 24 hours. So we got here yesterday, but we're here for 2 weeks. So
here's a shout out, man. That's hustle. Okay. Look at the guy finally gets an escape during COVID here, because obviously this 2020 is just going to be called the year of COVID. And you just said, you know what? I got to get out of town. But I'm going to go ahead and book a couple podcasts while I'm at it too.
Exactly. It's funny. We made it a goal to travel for 4 months. Wow. We made it. That was about May 11th, somewhere right around then. About a week later, we had our house rented out and we had movers scheduled, and we went to Charleston for a month, and then back to Nashville, Alaska. We were just in Alaska, and then Mexico, and then we're like, where the freak else can we go now?
I got to get to Alaska. My wife and I just got married last year, and we did a heli skiing wedding to the Canadian Rockies up in Banff. So
yeah, dude, amazing.
Helicopters, backcountry skiing. Let's do it.
That's a hell yes.
That's it. Well, actually, so our hashtag is #HeliYes. So that is the hashtag from that event, and I've been still trying to control that in the online space. There's a few other companies using it, but sorry, if you use that hashtag, you're get cycled in with a whole lot of cool wedding photos. So with a lot of skiing. But so let's pause on that subject, right? We're going to talk about entrepreneurship. We'll talk about mindset. We're going to talk about success and how to obviously build into an expert. I know all these things about you already. We've never podcasted before, but let's talk about what we're just hinting at here, right? I mean, heli, yes, Cancun, Mexico. Like, why not? Right? A lot of us are just busting our butts, putting in the hustle, trying to grow stuff. And you go ahead and book a podcast. And then next thing you know, you're like, you know what, let's get out of Dodge. Let's go on a vacay, but I'm not going to cancel the podcast. I'm going to go ahead 24 hours into my vacay, still do it. I love that.
Yeah. Actually, you're my third podcast of the day. In fact, I was like, wow. I didn't realize I had 3 today. But anyway, it's just like, we can accept what life brings us, or we can create our own limitations and our own standards. It's like that old George Bernard Shaw, I think it was, the people in life that actually make a difference are the unreasonable people, because we demand something that the world does not want to provide, and we almost force it into the world. And I'm like, you know what? We're going to enjoy this. I'm not going to let my business suffer. Now, certain things I'm fortunate that I don't own a bricks and mortar store, right? Like those businesses are definitely, there's circumstances beyond control, but my wife and I, we're going to go create, and we're not going to let, we'll adjust. Like we were supposed to be in Europe right now.
Oh, wow.
So every year we
just say traveling to Europe right now is not that easy. So
no. Yeah. So, and life is beautiful, man. It's like, even in the midst of a pandemic, I'm like, we are in our version of the Great Depression, in the early stages of our generation's only experience with this, hopefully. But it's a chance to remake ourselves, and a chance to, you got to put yourself also in different places to go and remake yourself. Like, so that's why we're here. I've been in the process of remaking myself for a couple of years, and it's a fun, beautiful adventure.
So I love how you're saying remake yourself, right? The process. So a lot of people forget that, by the way. Some of the most successful things that could happen in your life don't happen overnight, right? There's a process. Every so often, you got that rare, like all of a sudden, somehow you just tripped over a diamond and you got a mine.
Yeah.
I mean, awesome. But in most situations, there is a design process. There is, and I'll take one of your words, an architectural process, right? Because you do dub yourself a business architect, right? You've been around the block there. I think you've done like 10 companies or something like that already.
Yeah, it's over 10. It's about approaching 16, 17 now, something like that. And then,
but not all like either sold them, moved on, migrated them into different businesses. Like, how many live businesses do you have now?
Live, I really have, I have 2 partnerships, and then my coaching business, and then I'm becoming a partner in another venture. So, and plus a couple that I invested in that I have a good slice of equity.
Nice. So, by the way, those are the best ones, right? Like, you invest and just like sit on autopilot, let it just nurture it once in a while.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, creating businesses, right? Like, helping us realize that, hey, one day I would like to be able to, during a worldwide pandemic, escape for a couple of weeks and do something in another country because I can. Granted, from day one, not everybody can do that, but there's no reason why you can't architecturally plan, figure this out, build the structure so you can enjoy those rewards. So I think a lot of people though don't. They just want everything tomorrow. I've been guilty of it. Years ago, I forced myself so hard a couple of times. I hurt myself financially. I hurt myself professionally, and I had to learn from those processes. Have you ever actually had that happen to you, by the way, before this success now?
Oh yeah. I mean, really part of 2017, 2018, 2019 were like my years of the tunnel. Like, as a man, we often go through a tunnel. It's sometimes called the midlife crisis, but where just crap falls apart, nothing seems to work, you can't get traction, things spin out of control, and so that was my year, or my season where I lost over $1 million in a 3-year time period. I mean, in the last 2 years, I paid off about 2.2 million in total debt. I had to sell some assets and real estate, of course, for part of that. But it was incredibly painful, and lost some of what I had built for several years. But in the process of it, it's kind of like a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. It's painful. You got to let go of what you had to become who you're called to be in the next chapter.
I do love that point of learning to let go. I've learned from that process as well. I think a lot of us have underestimated that. Yes, there's sometimes you can maybe hold on a little bit longer just to see what you're going to get out of it. But I kind of tell you how many times I've learned this in the financial markets, that it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you just got to let's just sell, reinvest in a different portfolio, move on. I mean, you got to know when to draw the line. And I think as we get more experience in life and we move on through that process, you do get better at it. It doesn't bulletproof you. You can still make the mistakes. So it sounds like financially you've learned a lot from some of those transitions. So big
yeah, I have. There were some painful mistakes, but at the end, it's like behind every setback is a seed of an equal or greater opportunity, and it's so true. It's like, man, this year will be my most profitable year ever, personally. Next year should be massive, even in the midst of this craziness. And in the midst of pandemic, I came up with a book concept called Twice Born: How a Crisis Can Remake You. Like, at the beginning, early in March is when I came up with the idea. Like, in the first week or so.
It's really fully kicked it into speed here. I mean,
exactly. And so we wrote it in 2 months.
You and your wife?
It's got and another partner, co-writer. But I'm the lead author on it. But we created it, and it's got to go through editing and get the book cover designed this month. Already got a publisher signed off on it.
You and I are on the same timeline.
Yeah,
Finishing my first book. So
sweet.
Yeah. And luckily, I finally manned up. Actually, coming into the crisis, so this is funny on timing, right? Coming into the crisis, I'm like, all right, I wrote the book last year, and then just I'm gonna have this out by the beginning of the year, and didn't happen. And I don't know. I mean, I guess we could all call them excuses, right? I mean, I'm a go-getter, but I had other priorities, and I'm trying to get this book out. But I just didn't really own it. And finally, I said, you know what? I have an editor. I've had her on the podcast multiple times. I'm on her podcast multiple times. She's a professional editor. She's worked with people that have been on my show as well. I'm like, okay, she's established. She'll bust my balls. She'll tell me to get stuff done.
Yeah.
Let's go. Right. And so I went and dropped a few grand as the whole pandemic was kicking into gear. And I was like, you know what? I already said yes. So this is going to be working me harder. And it's funny you mentioned about businesses becoming more successful. So granted, not everybody's businesses are succeeding, right? I think this time of transition, which is interesting when your book comes out, if you're going to be hinting on this, but I know this is a very hurtful statement for some people, but I tell only the strong will survive, right? Mm-hmm. So I tell people like, okay, if you're somebody who can embrace change, if you're somebody who can innovate, if you're the person who knows also when to let certain things go and maybe it's time to start the new chapter, move on, you'll succeed. You can. The ones who don't know when to let go, or the ones whose businesses were already stretched to the max going into this, probably going to crash and burn, right? Yep. Like look at Hertz Rental Car. I mean, Hertz Rental Car going bankrupt, really? Yeah. International brand, which tells me none of the other international car rental brands, are claiming bankruptcy. So it tells me that you clearly did something behind the scenes and overstretch yourself, push yourself too far. Maybe you were running your whole company on credit. I don't know. I'm waiting for all that to come out, and they're going to crash and burn. So it's a shame. I have friends that actually work for them, and I didn't wish them upon anybody, but it's like only the strong will survive, right?
Yeah, and it's crazy. I made a list of I think I've got 18 household names that have declared bankruptcy. And we're going to have the greatest run of bankruptcies we've seen since the Great Depression era of.
We did see a lot in 08 and 09. So
yeah, it's going to dwarf it.
Could be at a different level.
Yeah. Because, and I don't fault anyone. I've gone through my financial challenges. It's just like, man, and some things are out of your control, but some things were, and who knows what happened with Hertz, but it's like, man, at the end of the day, you go through these crises, and it sounds like you've been through some, right, where you overextend or you stretch, or things don't play out the way you predicted. But at the end of the day, man, if you embrace it, there's almost like a inner battle of like, what is my controllable and what's out of my control, and then how do I allow this to flow through me and transform me for the next season, so it can catapult me into the next season.
It's funny we're talking about this because luckily, because I am still in editing, I'm actually doing a weekly one-on-one session with my editor right now. We're just punching one chapter at a time. And like last week, just in editing, we added another 1,500 words just because of how good she is. And she's like, you're definitely not a writer. You're a speaker. She's like, just having me getting you to talk about these different points that was confusing me in your editing. And then she's just typing away in the background. She's like, just trust it, let it happen. And then she reads it back. I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds way better. And she's like, you just need somebody to pull it out of you. So the editing is already going great. I'm loving it. Beautiful. And I already know that I'm going to be adding a lot more to I have a chapter called Embracing Change, because I part of my backstory with the fire and the logo here is that, corporate guy turned wildland firefighter out west, and then morphed into entrepreneurship over the years. So there's a lot of change in that career. There's a lot of change in all careers, in all professions, but going from wearing these such significantly different hats is definitely something I want to put into that book, because I want to help people understand that not everybody has to go become a wildland firefighter. Not everybody has to go and be a paramedic. But one thing that is shown consistently across it is the more you start embracing change, the easier it gets, and the more fun you can have with it. In the beginning, yes, very stressful, psychologically damaging sometimes,
Yeah.
but it's only going to make you stronger. And that's why, like, when this whole COVID thing hit, I've not been worried at all.
Yeah.
And my business is actually growing during this. So it's interesting to see how this is all unfolding.
Yeah. What's your book on?
What's that?
What's your book title, and what's it on?
Well, we're still finalizing the titles, because I was going to call it "So You Want to Be a Hotshot," right? Like a big question, because that's what I thought I wanted to be, right? It's like, oh, I'm leaving corporate world. This is going to be amazing. I did it for 2 years, risked my life. It was amazing. So many stories. And then as we're editing it, she's like, you might just want to call it Hotshot and leave it generic. Yeah. And now we're going through the edit. She's like, I could totally see you spinning off another book just for the business sector. And I was like, okay, let's just let's just finish the book, okay? This has been on the docket for a year. But the whole point of the initial title, "So You Want to Be a Hotshot," was back when I was considering this, after I found out about this career, because I'm an East Coast guy. I didn't, what the hell's a hotshot? What's wildland firefighting as a profession? Like, there's so many tiers, like hotshot's one of the elite. I didn't know any of this stuff. So I was like, what is this? So I was Googling it all the time, before, back when Google was still growing in Google. This is back in 06, 07. And then I didn't do it until 2010, 2011. But so that question always kept coming back in my head, and I guess it kept building steam. And I was like, so by the time 2010 hit, I was back in school on nights and weekends doing a BS in marketing and psychology outside of my career. And I was like, okay, once this is done, I'm done with this financial career. I hated it. I'm taking the leap. I'm just going to go for it. So a lot of stuff behind that title. So
yeah, I love it.
See what the final title ends up, because that's going to drive the book art. As you know this to see your book. He's like, okay, well, the title and the art do have to really tie together there. So,
no doubt.
Now, did you end up hiring an editor? Are you guys doing self-editing? What are you doing?
No, I got an editor. Yeah, for sure. She's the editor I'm hiring she's really top notch. So because we're going with a publisher where we will be in bookstores and all that stuff, and it's like, man, and I'm just big on hire the best you can and get out of their way. It's like, the DIY entrepreneur hustle, side hustle model is like, you hustle and grind it. But like, what's a billionaire do? He's like, hey, who's the best freaking person I can afford to hire?
There you go. And sometimes you go a little bit further on the afford factor. Then it forces that skin into the game, right?
Exactly.
And that's why I did it. And it was funny, because even last week again, she's like, hey, so where's your comfort level at? And I said, Hillary, just rip the lid off. All right. If you need to call me out, just call me out. So, we have another call tomorrow. We're going to do another run through again. And she actually said, she's like, I think this week and next week, she's like, you're going to be hauling butt. We could probably bang out more than one chapter in a session, because she wasn't expecting me to flow as fast last week. And I told her, like, you're the professional. I was like, just fix it. Like, if you told me I wrote it crappy, then fix it. Tell me what I screwed up. Just tell me what you're going to do. And I'll probably say yes. Because like you just said, Mike, it's like, I don't have time to try and figure out what a real author is. Although she did correct me on that. I said it to her last week, and she's just like, Scott, you've already been published in magazines and you've already written the book. You are an author.
Yes.
She's like, I'm just going to make you look better.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah. So it's great though. It's nice knowing that. And you said billionaires, millionaires, multi-successful people. It's like, dude, that's not my jam. All right. I got other stuff that's my jam I'm focusing on. Pay somebody to take care of that for you. Make it look great.
Yeah.
And it's really important to me too, actually, because I'm self-publishing, not doing that route. Because something you said earlier in the show, I want to make sure we came back to, was like my wife, she's a equine horse veterinary doctor of chiropractic for animals. She's got a co-founder, and they've got their own practice. They just hired a new doctor as well. So they're growing because they were an essential business through all of this. But they have a brick and mortar office, and I don't want anything brick and mortar. So it's funny you mentioned earlier, like no brick and mortar. I don't want that physical. Now, some people, you need to do that. I prefer to live virtual, online, travel, etc. I just want to make sure we brought that back to that point, because brick and mortar, I'm like, no, I'm good, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had a couple of them.
It's okay. Like even nowadays, let's tie that forward right into this transition. You're in Mexico. I'm still here in Pennsylvania. I'm trying to find a way to find a healthier country to go visit and support their economy with a little getaway with my wife too. And that's the advantage of that. I could run my business from anywhere. All I need is my laptop. Actually, to be fair, I probably don't need my laptop. I could probably run 90% of my business now with all the systems I put in place off my iPhone.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's pretty cool. We have that. And that's so important now, right? During COVID, look how many companies, even Twitter like started saying, hey, let's make our employees work remote, help them through this transition. And then they finally just came back and said, that's it, permanent.
Yeah.
Everybody get to work from home for the rest of your lives, as long as you work for our company. That was one of the first companies during COVID right now to actually just come right out and say it.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. They're a virtual online company. Like, why wouldn't you have most of your people working remote?
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
And not everybody's ready for it, right?
Yep. It's true. And, you know, it's going to be really interesting. Like, I sold an office building in May, closed on it, thank God. Like, I'm like, dude, I don't know what's going to happen with the office space, with retail. It's really accelerating our usage of e-com, Amazon, like Amazon's
it's crushing it. Dude.
Yeah, dude.
They were crushing it before this, but now it's like everybody's just mail order.
Yeah.
Shopping, you know, ever since the Whole Foods thing, man, that worked out with perfect timing.
Yeah, they did well.
Yeah. Half my friends are getting Whole Food deliveries from the. I'm like, what? I'll still go once a week. No, I'll just get it shipped in. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So unloading that commercial property, was that a nice weight off the shoulders?
Yeah, that knocked out a good chunk of debt. Just responsibility. It was like, and just an identity shift. You know, it was the first time in 15.
Wait, from loading a building?
Yeah.
That's an identity shift? Oh, please. Got to expand.
Well, just owning real, like, you know, I've sold, like, got rid of about 10 real estate properties that I owned in the last 3 years.
Well, I know you're in real estate. You still have your real estate company, right?
No, I got out of that. Closed that. Or
that's real estate, right?
Yeah, I'm still technically a part of it, but I'm not active. You know, I need to just retire my license and all that. But yeah, it's just like that was my last. In a way, is like my last relic of that old identity. Now I'll buy real estate again. Like, I'm actually looking forward this downturn. I think it's going to be a great time to buy some properties. So
my wife already talking about it.
Yeah, good. That's smart. But now I'm like, all right, I can shift more deeply into, you know, my goal in my 40s is to establish. I'm 41. Establish myself as one of America's top entrepreneur mentors. And, you know, what Grant Cardone did in his 50s, I want to do in my 40s. I'm just blowing up in terms of books and thinking and speaking and podcasts, all that. Now, I'm not as media driven as Grant. So, you know, I love.
You probably know my boy, Cole Hatter.
Yeah. No, okay. We were in a mastermind together.
Oh, okay. Well,
Styles mastermind.
It was an event the past like 5 years. So
yeah, great.
Make money matter, man. So
yeah, he's great.
He's been on the show. What's his name? The crazy dancer. The guy can break dance like nobody's business.
Yeah. Shoot, I don't.
He's not part of his inner circle.
Yeah, not Preston.
No, but Preston's awesome. Oh my God, Preston Smiles.
Oh, yeah.
Him and his girl too.
Yeah.
You're in the right circle. These are all great people. So people have had I gotta follow up with Preston. I meant to bring him on a show like a year ago, and things got crazy, and I just haven't followed up. So
there you go.
I was wondering if you knew that circle, because it's funny how every time I went to this event, I'd say 50% of that event was usually real estate minded or investing type of entrepreneurs, and then everybody else is like me, like more other forms of business. So interesting. So great event.
No doubt. Cole knows what he's doing on the real estate side. So
yeah. But it's funny you bring these points up about, like, there's a right and wrong time to invest. There's a right time to unload properties. Clearly you got to take advantage of that, but you're still considering getting back into more investments. And like my brother-in-law, he owns a commercial construction company, and him and his cousin do a ton of commercial investing. And it's funny how, because he keeps a finger on the residential market too. So he's always, because we're looking at buying a different house and then renting this whole property out.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, he's like, just wait.
Yeah.
And then I checked with a couple of my realtor buddies, like, yeah, just, if you're not in a rush, just ride it for a few months. He's like, there's gonna be something happening.
Yeah. It's gonna be, it's gonna be sad, but it's also gonna be, you got to be smart yourself. It's like, why is Warren Buffett in the Great Recession? Why didn't he buy companies? He went on a buy-in spree, right? Apple's probably going to acquire companies during this because they're just sitting on loads of cash, and they're always acquiring, but especially, we're going to see more mergers, as we talked about. Like, John Varvatos filed a Chapter 11. That's my favorite clothing brand. All these.
I didn't even know that. When did that happen? A few months ago?
May. J. Crew, John Varvatos, J.C. Penney.
Well, J. Crew started having problems over a year ago because actually my friend and my biggest client, her now office manager and executive assistant she used to run one of the J. Crew stores, and they closed it here in this area at a big, beautiful outdoor mall. And I'm like, J. Crew's closing a store? Like, yeah, that was over a year ago. So I was like, okay, there's something happening there. So
yeah, dude, it's gonna be crazy. But so, like, how do we make the most of these times, and whether investing back in yourself, investing in opportunities? I feel like, man, this is an exciting time if you're an entrepreneur without your head buried in the sand. If you have your eyes open and you're not under a significant emotional or financial duress, where you can make wise decisions, man, it's going to be a beautiful time.
Let's pause on that. Even if, because this goes back to, you could have to tell you got the mindset, right? The NLP stuff. It's like, it's not even just, I don't have a ton of cash liquidity right now, but during this whole transition, I mean, I was reinvesting in my business. I was tweaking things that I've been wanting to tweak for a while, because I usually travel a lot more for my one client, but I couldn't, right? Because her big industry connection is the HVAC world. Now that HVAC industry, everybody wants indoor air quality, and everybody wants comfort, but people weren't hosting meetings. So the great thing is I've been using advanced levels of Zoom for 4 or 5 years. So all of a sudden, all these companies who didn't have a clue how to run an online meeting, I'm like, all right. So I've been, the past 2 months straight, I was hosting webinars and trainings for all of her companies that she's connected with like crazy, because this is my jam. So, but that allowed me to free up more time, because I was stuck in my home office here more, make tweaks, reinvestments, and it didn't take a lot of money. But to your point, you said hand in the sand. I like to call it fight the ostrich effect. It's like, don't just hide and hope and then wait for this to blow through, because one, it may blow through, it may not, it may hang out for a while. We don't know. This is a new way of doing business. This is a new shift into our future. And long story short, sooner or later, you got to get business done, because you got to put food on the table. You got to plan for your future. You have to plan, if you have kids, plan for the future of your kids. Like, life is going to go on. So don't hide from it. Find a way to innovate, overcome, reinvent. And those are going to be the people who succeed.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
People like us to say this to them, because sometimes I got to be the tough love. I don't know. Are you a tough love guy? I think you're more not tough love. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm tough love. To some extent, I'm probably a little soft-spoken with how I approach tough love.
Soft-spoken with the directness.
Yeah.
Whereas I tell my clients, I actually, during this transition, I was like, listen, guys, I'm a very motivational, inspirational person. I love helping people with their self-work, everything else. Prior to this, I was starting to get into more motivational speaking and stuff. And then I was like, listen, but when it comes to, if you're my client, I'm going to tell you when you're being an ass, and I'm going to call you on your shit. And it is what it is. That's it. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just saying, listen, with people who work with me, they know I'm not going to blow smoke, right? I'd rather be the straight shooter relationship. And if that's not for you, move on.
Yeah.
I'll give you somebody softer and that's it. But I don't just beat them up. I'm always going to, give them some constructive feedback. And I do want to push them and motivate them to be that way. But that's where my balance is. Like, I like to motivate and inspire, but you're going to get the tough love with it. So, because I think a lot of us in our lives, I wish I would have had some better mentors that I've found over the years earlier in the process. Right. But it takes time. I can't change the past. I have to realize, like, hey, man, now that you know, help as many people as you can learn what you learned. So,
yeah, exactly.
Now, is that what you're taking a lot into your steam for your coaching, and obviously this new mastermind you're working on and everything else?
Yeah, it's I think the principles are still true for business. Like if you look at hey, what happened? How do you serve a customer? Well, you figure out what their needs are. Well, what started happening, 3 or 4 months ago, moved the needs. Like it's like the fish were over in this hole and now they're over here. But if you're still trying to fish over here the same way, it's not going to work. You got to swim over there, find out what people care about, what people need, and help people, innovate. Like one of my projects that I'm working on right now is my partner on it. One of my partners on it is Michael Gelb, wrote How to Think Like Leonardo Da Vinci.
Oh yeah.
7 principles of thinking like Leonardo Da Vinci. So, the investor and the owner, primary owner of the project, John Miller, was the former CEO of AOL and former CEO of Hulu, and also head of marketing for the NBA back when David Stern was there. So the first principle that Da Vinci had was curiosita, curiosity. Okay. So it's almost like in today's world, what if instead of like letting fear dictate our emotions, letting fear dictate how we show up, letting fear dictate our energy. What if we embrace curiosity? Like where are people? Where's the opportunity? Where's the need? How can I serve people better or transformationally better right now? And there's massive opportunities. Like honestly, I'm still doing live events.
Yeah.
And I'm down here in Mexico. I'm like, you know what? I'm at these fancy resorts that are like 50% off. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm like, I'm going to ask them. I'm tomorrow or later on this week, I'm going to find out, hey, could we do an event here in the fall? And then if I'm the only person like in America that is like hosting larger conferences, but fine.
Cancun, a lot of those resorts are big and spacious. So even if there is still some still concerns, obviously with on health wise, people can still be spaced out. And thanks to a 50% off factor, you don't have to pack the room as much. You can really focus on the right people with the right mindset, and you don't have to price gouge, right? You can keep it a realistic event, but also make sure you're only attracting the right people, and then people could spread out and be spaced and still get to grow
exactly
in a safe way.
Yeah. And frankly, and you're getting vitamin D, which almost none of the people that die of COVID have good vitamin D. If you have good vitamin D, good health. Obviously, if you have lung issues, you don't want to have even the chance. But
if you have pre-existing conditions, that's a whole different variable. So
yeah, exactly. But if you're pretty healthy, get some vitamin D, and you're probably gonna be fine.
My client makes probably one of the cleanest vitamin D supplements on the market. So
there you go. Buy your client's product, and then you're good.
You still got to get your son. I was telling you before the show, we were out rafting yesterday on the river, so we were hitting some whitewater. So it was actually we weren't expecting the whitewater, but we were just supposed to float the river, and next rain, so it was a little more whitewater than expected. I even got ripped out of the kayak I was in. It was awesome. Kayak shoots down the river. My friends go after on their paddle boards, and I'm like beating through the brush down the shoreline, like speed hiking them, and I caught them. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, within less than 5 minutes, they were like, "How'd you get here so fast?" I'm like, "I just ran." They're like, "You just got ripped out of the boat." I'm like, "Well, I don't wait and just stand around and hope for the best. I get after it."
Well, you're a hot shot. Former hot shot.
What am I gonna do? Stand here and twiddle my thumbs and watch other strangers float down the river? Like, no.
Exactly.
I know eventually after those rapids, the water will calm and slow, and then they'll probably be able to gather everybody up, and I'll probably catch them sooner or later. So, and it happened in less than 5 minutes. It was great because all of a sudden I come like ripping through the brush, and my wife's one friend, she just starts laughing, and she's just like, "He's here already." It was quality entertainment. I wish I had a GoPro for that one. So, but it was entertaining. But actually, that connects back our earlier points about embracing change, right? You could sit here and be paralyzed by analyzing the situation, or it's like, okay, well, I'm on a rocky shoreline. Yeah, there's heavy brush, but I'm 6'4" and I'm 190 pounds. I could push through that. So let's just go.
Yeah, dude. Exactly. And it's like you can't change the fact you're out of the boat.
Nope. Because the boat's gone. The water
can change what you do with it. Exactly. The boat made you transform and remake yourself.
That's it. But at least I was getting vitamin D throughout the whole process.
Yeah, exactly. And you're with COVID nurse practitioners that know the stuff. So
yeah, everybody was like, yeah, it was quality experience. Actually, it was a really fun day yesterday. Yeah. Everybody was like, we got to get outside. Let's just unplug. I'm a huge mountain biker and hiker, and everything. So it's like, the more I'm outside, the happier I am. So
yeah,
and that's why, like, again, where you're at, those types of resorts, you don't even have to be inside. You could be having. They probably have like big pavilions and everything else out there and around the buildings. So
yeah,
they would be happy to have you host an event right now. I think that's a big thing probably impacting the resorts and the hotel industry is a lot of people are afraid to book events, especially stateside.
Yeah, exactly. And the US has been ridiculously ruthless in some areas. Like, I have friends in Maui that I was going to go visit them in Maui, and they're like, don't come now because if you're not wearing a mask in public, they'll arrest you.
In Maui?
Yes. And I'm like, what the freak?
Oh, okay. That's a new one for me. All right.
And cops and inspecting businesses in Los Angeles, like,
I heard it's really strict right now. So
it's ridiculous. Like, all right, am I gonna pay rent? Am I gonna be able to afford to live? Like, and anyway, I think
what a part of a lot of that disconnect is, and I'm always trying to slow down and appreciate different people's points of view. And I think that's actually another secret to success is that, not everybody's always going to agree. Right. It's the problem. Yeah. That's why I hate talking politics, because everything is so polarized right now. And that has flowed into this situation as well. It's like, listen, if people are scared and afraid, it's okay. Then stay at home. If you wear your mask in your own house, you do that. You want to wear your mask in your own car, you do that. I can't speak for you. You do you. But until you've had to try and build your own business, to put food on the table, to put food on your employees' tables, you don't know, right? Yeah. So there is a difference. And I'm not saying we're sacrificing people's health. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you got to put more thought into this. And what's more of a sustainable model that is not going to destroy the economy, destroy people's businesses, as we talked about earlier in this show. Because here's the other thing, it's already been proven, right? As I talk about health, business, and lifestyle on this show, I've interviewed countless scientists, doctors, biologists over the years, and I follow all of them. And throughout this whole process, they're all on the same page. So point is, like, okay, stress, psychological depression. These are variables that you don't want to have right now because they bring your health down. Okay. Cortisol levels, all of these things are not tied in a healthy way to going through something like COVID or even just a bad flu season. Like you need to be, like you said, outside, vitamin D production, staying healthy, staying fit. But that comes back to your mindset and your mental work as well. So if your mindset's in the tank, you're not going to be in a healthy situation. And if you're an entrepreneur with a mindset in the tank, and you're probably not taking care of your health and nutrition and all those other factors, like you are building a storm of problems. Big time. So
exactly. Yeah, it's going to be, you're right. And you release toxins when you just damage your immune system dramatically when you're in the stress state. And that's why, like, early in the COVID crisis, when it was hitting my wife, she was reading all the article, like spending 30 minutes a day just going into that, and she was getting so stressed. I'm like, babe, we gotta limit our article and news exposure to like 10 minutes a day and counteract it.
That's actually something for all of life.
Yeah.
Not just during this transition. I'm not trying to it. It's like I've learned that a long time too. It's like I stopped watching the news. I don't buy magazines. I don't buy newspapers. And people are like, oh, well, you're not informed. I'm like, oh no, I'm informed. If I'm going to get information, I'll go to the correct sources for it. Yeah. I'm not just going to blindly trust random fluff that's being sent at me. No, you got to filter that stuff, man. Exactly. I haven't owned a cable bill. Oh God, I don't even know. Since before I left to be a firefighter. It was funny. I ran into a buddy of mine this weekend. It was the big UFC fight.
Oh yeah.
A friend of mine, social distancing, hosted it outdoors, had the TV outside. Everybody was spread out because his wife was freaking out. And we respected it. We supported it. Like he and her are complete opposites on the concerns. Yeah. But we're out there, and the one guy hadn't seen him in a while. He's like, I got to ask you, like, out of the blue, he goes, you still don't have cable, do you? And I'm like, I haven't seen you in like 2 years.
Yeah.
That's what you remember about me? I was like, correct. I was like, I pay for an internet package. That's it. That runs my business. That runs my wife's business. And then she can have we have the Netflix and Hulu, that stuff. But like, I don't need local cable or news and any of that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like, that's what you remember of me? The guy who does that? Because actually I didn't have a TV either when he last met me too. Like I didn't own a TV until I met my wife and moved in with her. Because after the firefighting, I just stayed clear of it. I just had a computer and a TV monitor, but that was it.
Totally.
I was a big minimalist. So
yeah, you were a disciplined bachelor, that's for sure.
Yeah. But I was like, I don't need it because I was busy. I was coaching CrossFit at the time, my free time. So I was busy at the gym all the time. I was mountain biking, working out, trying to build these businesses. Like I didn't have time for that. You know, it's a classic thing from Grant and other great influencers too. Is like, if you're sitting there watching the boob tube, you're not building a business.
Yeah, no doubt. Not getting better.
No. So, by the way, I mean, you're in Mexico, so I'm guessing you guys aren't hanging out watching the television. You're probably on the beach, in the ocean, you know, something, or doing podcasts.
yeah, doing podcasts. A lot of podcasts today.
I got to ask, do you have more podcasts planned this trip, or is this bad timing?
Yeah, I got several. I think I got several more. Scheduled. And then I want to launch my own and pretty soon too. But won't do it this trip. Yeah, but it's kind of a mix of a work play trip. This is almost like a focused work trip. And that, like, my wife's finishing up the book that we're writing together, The Twice Born, and then she's got another book she's writing on, and then I'm going to write some other stuff, and I got a big mastermind coming up. So we had our true vacation was Alaska, where I unplugged, and we were in a little fishing cabin that didn't even have internet. So like,
there you go.
Yeah, no TV in that sucker. So that was.
What part of Alaska was that?
A couple hours outside of Anchorage.
Okay.
We were in Sterling, Alaska. There's probably more.
Good buddy grew up outside of Anchorage, so he's a amazing skier. But yeah, he's before his whole family moved out of Alaska. Now they all own like tons of property around the lakes in Michigan. But as they retired, but I was like, man, I was hoping to get back up there when he was there. So I'm still gonna go there, but now I just don't know anybody. So
yeah, it'll still be worth it. Go with your wife. Yeah,
I love it. So all right. Books coming, podcast now coming. Is that definite? You definitely gonna bring the podcast?
Yeah. Okay. Podcast and YouTube channel. I need that forced mechanism as I shift into like that new identity.
You need the video. Video's been king for a while, and I mean, I record, as you can tell here, I record video on every podcast, and everybody does that. And it's not huge on YouTube yet, but I'm building a library, right? So I play the long game because eventually there's another YouTube channel I'm going to be launching soon too, which is not podcast related, but I already have that horsepower built up. I put in the reps, figuring out how I like it. I mean, I got ring lights here and, high-end cameras and all that. It's all about, you got to start practicing to figure out what you like the most. And then you take those best practices into the next project.
Yeah. Exactly.
Good for you, man.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah. So other than that, anything else big next? Obviously rebranding of the mastermind, and it is going to be called the Symposium Mastermind, right?
Yes, we've already started that. Just had our first retreat last month. It's for the successful expert, people building their expert platforms, consultants, coaches, etc., authors.
Do you have that up on your site yet?
No, we just finished the logo towards the end of last month, and just in time for the whatchamacallit, for the retreat. Yeah. So that's not even up yet entirely. And then what else? I want to buy. Yeah, I want to buy some other company. I want to buy a company or two. I haven't bought a company before, so that's one of my goals.
Oh, so you've always gone in either as an investor or partner?
I'm starting businesses, so I have a couple.
So you're looking for a straight up acquisition?
Yeah. And I would have partners on it too. So that's so we'll see. I've got my eyes on a couple options, and slow playing it a little bit to see how the fall plays out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exciting, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I like the cleanliness of your site. I love the tag, succeed at business, win at life. I think that's a huge, there's a lot of simplicity in that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people forget, I think we've hinted at it many times in the show today, is that to succeed in business, you have to take risks. You have to take, you can make them educated risks. You can make them somewhat planned risks. I mean, there's definitely different intensities of risks. I mean, I'm not saying, hey man, I got an extra $100,000 in the bank, I'm just going to go dump it into this and hope for the best. Like, no, I mean, talk to some strategists, get a game plan together. In the end, I learned a long time ago, a buddy of mine in the financial market, he's just like, hey, he's like, so how much money are you investing into this new company or stock or whatever? And I'm like, cause I was very inexperienced. And he was the first guy. He's like, well, just so you know, you're not really investing. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you're throwing your money away. I'm like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm investing. He's like, that's why he wanted to catch me on that. He's like, listen, I'm not saying you're throwing it away. What I'm actually saying is, he's like, whatever money you part with, you have to go into it knowing that you could lose it all. He's like, the sooner you wrap your mindset around that, he's like, it gets easier. He's like, 'cause you're not going to go in with a scarcity mindset or a fear. There will be some fear, but now you got planned fear. And I was like, it just changed my whole thought process around that. I'm like, huh.
Love it.
I thought about it. It was a long time ago, but I'll never forget it. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us, again, as you put more reps in, you get better at it, and it comes with time. So I figured I'd bring that up to you because since you're doing so much different things here and you've been through that process, I figured you would agree with it.
yeah, it's true. You're 100%. I think that's, your friend gave brilliant advice, and it's a whole different energy and mindset when you're not as in a way, sometimes you're not as outcome focused as you mature in business as much as you are process and learning focused. Like if you look at Elon Musk, now you have a certain level of confidence that you're going to figure it out. Elon Musk, one day tweets on his way to work, and he's so frustrated about how long it's taken him to drive 13 miles from his house in Bel Air to Tesla and SpaceX. And he's like, I'm tired of this. I'm going to start another company. I'm going to drill holes through the
build a tunnel.
An
entire network of tunnels.
Exactly. A month later, he's put $113 million into the Boring Company. That's a new company. Yeah. And and he's like, and Amazon. Here's something. A friend of mine wrote the book, The Bezos Letters. Amazon's 12 keys to.
I've read.
Yeah, you have. Great. Yeah.
I was like, holy crap! I'm actually finally reading. I did that one first, and now I'm reading more of like a biography. There's
Bezos. Yeah.
And
speaking of, since you're a fan of Bezos, there's a phenomenal podcast series called On Business Wars podcast called Amazon versus Walmart. So they do all these amazing stories. It's like a 7-part series on Amazon versus Walmart. But you'll really like that. A lot of cool backstories. But
oh yeah, there's a bunch of them. I'm Googling right now. They even have one like Starbucks versus Dunkin'.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Facebook versus Snapchat. Love the Ferrari versus Lamborghini one was really cool. But back to Amazon they have so much money allocated to experiments. They consider them experiments, but like Amazon Prime's an experiment. Mm-hmm. Some of them work, like the Amazon phone. Yeah, exactly. Some of them, like the Amazon phone. Who uses the Amazon phone? You even remember it? Well, that was a $100 and something million loss.
Yeah.
But they have that sort of embrace of like the healthy measure of like, it's like the old research and development.
They're basically market testing. They're seeing how mature is the market. Are they ready for something like this yet? Or maybe they were ready for it, but maybe that invention just didn't pan out, right? The Amazon. Yeah. Listen, okay, great. Let's stick to what we're good at. Let's start something else. I like your point. They were so successful that they figured out, hey, let me set aside a percentile of cash flow for these risks. Because these risks could literally become entire new business units, right? Like Amazon Music.
Yeah.
That's all I listen to now. I don't listen to Pandora. I listen to Amazon Music because it comes free with my Amazon Prime. So I got Sonos out in my garage at my CrossFit gym. So I'm like, there we go. Like I just have Sonos playing. It's all on my phone. Like it's.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have to deal with the Pandora commercials anymore. I'm like, what are you doing? So big shifts. And now Sonos, you familiar with Sonos, by the way, the whole wireless? Yeah. Sonos launched their own Sonos radio within the app now. So if you don't even want to use Amazon Music, now Sonos Radio is offering their own Sonos, online music. So I was like, okay. So these companies are innovation, man. Innovation.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, we're coming to the end of our time slot. We're actually a hair over. Are you good to help close out the show? I don't want to tap the next podcast here. So
no, this is it for the day. So I'm glad.
Awesome. Well, I want to make sure you can get back to your amazing trip to keep working on the book, spending time with your lady. And thank you again for taking time. I know that you weren't originally planning to go to Mexico, and you're like, let's keep doing podcasts. I love the commitment. So,
yes.
But listen, you are the guest co-host. So there's actually something years ago when I started the show, I was just say, hey man, there's some all-encompassing words or some final words you want to leave behind for the show, for the listeners. And then it has morphed in the past few years. And you being an NLP guy in the mindset would appreciate this. It's like, you know what? Now it's more like, listen, everything that you've learned and everything you're about to do next, what would be a legacy message right now that you would leave behind for people? Something that is, they can forget everything else they already learned about you, but it's like, all right, you know what? Here's a good legacy message to leave behind.
So a legacy message. A couple of them.
That mindset now. I'm like,
why
am I going through all this? Why do I do all this? Legacy
totally.
that possibly leave behind. So
exactly. Good question, Scott. Legacy message. Like right before I hopped on this Zoom with you, I was I did an NLP session actually with a special forces a friend of mine that was a special forces. I forgot which division. I think he was an Army Ranger, and
Rangers are legit.
Yeah, and he's brilliant, one of the top MDs and kind of a future senator as well. That type of deal. Really smart guy. We actually co-started a mastermind like 6 or 7, 8 years ago together. But I was doing an NLP session on what I call claim your power. And claim your power is a twofold process. It's really, I take people through it where we release the old identity, release the identity that is holding you back, and take hold. You almost have to shed that old before you can grab the new, right? So shed that old identity, take hold of the new, more powerful version of you. And so for me, my old identity, my weaker part is, I call him weak Willie. And then my more powerful part is Magic Mike.
Okay.
And so I got to express appreciation to weak Willie, because weak Willie, sometimes these old parts of ourselves that sort of sabotage our progress, actually they have a good intent. And they're trying to protect us from pain, from suffering, like we were bullied, or we experienced this failure, or rejection from this woman or this man or whatever, right? This wound is there. But if they control and dictate our lives, they sabotage us, versus we know we're meant to show up as this powerful, magnetic, radiant version of ourselves that attracts love, abundance, freedom, helps people with our message and our story. So anyway, I took my friend Omar through this process, and I'd say to claim your power, you have to shed and release and acknowledge this old disempowering version, but you also must take hold and command, beckon forth the powerful version. So literally, like today at the hotel, I was walking around, I was like, I am Magic Mike. And you say it in the positive, powerful present tense. I am Magic Mike. I, like, whatever yours might be.
Yeah.
Do you have multiple personas yet?
I've thrown around a fun phrasing, but it sounded kind of, I don't know. It just sounded weird. Like your Magic Mike sounds fun, but I was like, I kind of did a little shtick off of Superman. I was calling it, Super Scott, because like, hey man, like because I get into these flow states because I've gotten very much flow over the past few years, and it's like, all right, man, like, dude, even though I'm a big positive person, I have bad days. I get angry, I get frustrated, and the sooner I can find a way to release that, like you said, release that weakness and get that flow back into Super Scott, right? It's like, okay, now I'm getting stuff done. We're counting, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Can I permission to interrupt what I would call a weak ass pattern for a moment?
Yeah.
So you have a lot of powerful positive patterns that you just described. You had one little, what I would consider, and I take this from Tony Robbins. I got this from Tony Robbins, so I can't claim ownership. All right. You said I have bad days.
Okay.
Tony,
challenging days, or
I have bad moments. But I don't have bad days.
Okay, that's true, because a day is a whole day thing. That's a good point.
Yeah, but it's actually an identity. When I command and I'm okay with having a bad day, then I can have a whole freaking bad day. My mind will accomplish that.
Right. Well said.
If I have a bad moment, oh yeah, that was a freaking suck.
Said that. Now I'm clicking to what I end up, because I've done a lot of health and nutrition coaching over the years. Yeah. And I'm always telling people, like, guys, it's not a cheat day. I don't even like the word cheat. I'm like, if you're going to use that word, then it's a cheat meal, not a cheat day. Because the hormonal impacts of doing it for a whole day is just screwing up the rest of your week, your month, etc. Like, stop it. Like, if you're looking for your supposed little reward, then it should be a cheat meal or a cheat snack if that's your terms you're going to use. So that's the first thing my brain went to when you called me out on that, because I was like, I totally agree. Like, it's not meant to last the whole day.
Yeah.
Like, okay. All right. It happened. Boom. Flip the switch.
Yeah.
Love it.
And our subconscious minds hunt for justification and for support, and will literally transform a memory or a moment to reinforce what we've commanded it to experience. So if I say I'm having a bad day, well, then you look through that lens. I'm having a bad day. This person hasn't texted me back, so they must not like me. Versus this person hasn't texted me back. I got a moment to go over here.
Yeah. And also then you don't actually, I love where we're going with this, because then it's a great way to close the show out, because then it's like, wait a minute, you totally missed all the positive things that actually already probably happened today, but you were in such a negative mindset, you completely ignored them. So you can't even reflect on them and appreciate them. Yeah. Because it was a, air quote, bad day.
Exactly. 100%.
That's why I love the NLP stuff, man. I just like that whole mindset stuff.
Yeah.
That's a great way to bring the show to a close. Nice.
Have you done an NLP session yet?
No. I mean, I've had lots of NLP people on the show. It's on my to-do list, it's because I love this stuff. I've had so many people like yourself who've been through it. You actually are a master at it, right?
Yeah. Master practitioner. Yeah. Same, certifications Tony Robbins has on it. I'd be glad to gift you, one of my Claim Your Power sessions, so you can experience.
Yeah. Well, I already like your style, because you're like, hey, can I call you on a weak ass moment? I'm like, hell yeah, that's my style. You speak my language.
There we go. I love it.
Every all the time, I'm like, I am my own worst critic. I hold myself to a very high standard, but because I want to drive that success, and I tell people all the time, like, we got to own our shit, right? So it's like, I do believe in coaching and working with practitioners and everything else in a lot of areas of life, but I always bring it back to, I still got to own it. You can give me the most amazing knowledge ever, but I still got to own that. I got to take accountability for that. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people just want to pass the buck, like, oh, well, maybe I need a new coach. I'm like,
yeah. Exactly. You need a new you. Right?
Let's talk about that off the show. So I'd love to work with you. So, anyway, so thank you for great words for closing us out today. For the listeners, we do let this guy get back to his amazing weather in Mexico. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you check him out at Mike Zeller, ZELLER.com. We're going to have all this stuff listed at LiveTheFuel.com, as well as we always do. It'll be on YouTube. It's already live right now on Facebook at Live the Fuel. So if you listen to this in the podcast world, we got it everywhere. So again, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to fuel your health, your business, and your lifestyle. Mike Zeller definitely helped us do that today. So thanks for tuning in. And remember, you too can live the fuel. We'll talk to you guys again soon.